Hi everyone, it's Robin Lowe from the Sporting Post. I've got a very special interview for you with a team of Legends of the Turf. Legends of the Turf is a 17-part documentary series on South African racing history, including the stories of some of the great characters of the turf, human and equine, of the 1960s and 70s. It's something I'm very proud to have been involved in over a long period of time. It's been 10 years in the making and they've finally gone live. So joining me today are Aidan Lithgow, producer, director and narrator extraordinaire, and 2IC Kathy Pienaar as editor and co-producer. Hi guys, thanks so much for joining us.
We're finally live!
It's alive!
Hi Robin, thanks for having us.
It's live!
I thought we'd start just by telling fans a little bit of the background. How and why did you come up with the idea to do Legends?
I've always loved horses. Grown up in a horsey family, always ridden. I studied film after school. And I always felt that once these horses, these great champions had done their bit on the track, what happens to them? Do people remember? Do people, do we just move on? And then I was doing a show for Teletrack called You Be the Judge. And we had an end of the year Christmas edition of You Be the Judge. So we put this thing together. I don't know if anybody remembers as to who was the greatest racehorse of our time. Not very in-depth, just kind of little 5 to 7 minute stories.
And as Aidan interviewed more and more people for that show, he realized that these horses had far bigger stories to be told, each one dramatic and different and moving.
The original idea was to start in the 60s and 70s, which was a very, very different time in South Africa, for one, and horse racing. On the other hand, of course, it was during apartheid years, and it was the only form of legalized gambling in the country. So you had masses of amounts of people who followed. Racing was in the newspapers all the time. Trainers were household names. Going to the races was a big day out. You would dress up. It was this golden age, they refer to it in racing. And it was a very, very romantic period.
Tell us a little bit about how you selected the stories and perhaps any favorites.
How did we choose the horses? Great difficulty. But they really had to stand out. The 3 big races in the country were the July, obviously the Met, and in those days very much the Summer Cup, the Summer Handicap. Horses had to have won 1 or 2 or even all 3 of those races. They had to be versatile, they had to be champions. Sea Cottage was always going to go in. He was the horse that kind of got me interested in the whole thing. My grandfather had talked to me about him and told me stories about him, and my mom had told me stories about him, and he was the horse who really piqued my interest.
We wanted to bring these stories to life in such a way that it was enjoyable for any viewer, whether a racing enthusiast or not. So for me, coming in not knowing a thing about racing, it was really quite surprising to discover how unique and compelling each story was.
I know you've also had a huge amount of support, both from various industry bodies and individuals.
The TBA got behind it. At that stage, Advocate Altus Joubert was the chairman, and he really believes in preserving the history of the sport. He was the man behind the Racing Museum at the TBA. And then, of course, our big sponsors were Mary Slack of Wilgerbos and Jessica Gell, Maurice Vintine. Big thank you to them, because we would never have been able to pull this off without their help. And then our final sponsor was Gold Circle, and the man who believed in us there was Graham Hawkins. So big thank you to Graham.
Kathy, and from your perspective, I know that you guys had quite a lot of fun doing some dramatizations. Do you want to tell us a little about that?
Well, the idea to do dramatizations came about after we recreated a scene for the Elevation episode. In the finish of the derby, the jockeys of Elevation and Master Hoy had a bit of an altercation. And so Aidan made a few phone calls and off we trotted to Rheinkies, and we filmed a little scene in a couple of hours. But through that, we realized that this is what was needed to breathe life to some of the anecdotes from some of our contributors. So once all the edits were close to done, we embarked on a 19-day shoot with over 100 cast and extras, and a bunch of interesting people got involved. For example, Sid Laird is played by his grandson, Damien.
Clinton Binder played the part of Sonny Chislett. Shah Pretorius, who's the racing journo, he played the part of Paul Dalt. Timothy Woodruff was there. Chad Little was there playing the part of Herman Brown. we were looking for somebody who could play David Payne, the young David Payne in the In Full Flight story. And of course, David Payne, his personal story is that he was a jockey before he became a trainer. And at that time, there was a young man called Lyle Hewitson who wasn't even at the Jockey Academy. He was basically in the Work Riders series. He was studying at Kersney College, and Lyle played the part of David Payne. And I'd seen him ride in Work Riders races, but hadn't taken that much notice. And I'm a rider myself, so I look for things that other people don't look for: position on a horse, temperament on a horse, the rider's hands. And in all the scenes that Lyle had to work with, he was working with Zorba's tail, and Zorba could be a feisty individual. And this kid had the most sympathetic, magical, soft hands. The horses just settled for him. I just remember thinking, wow, man, this kid can ride. It's been such a pleasure and almost an honor to watch Lyle go on to achieve, and of course he's in the early days of his career as a jockey, but achieve what he has gone to achieve. And we're just happy that we got him before he became so damn famous to be in Legends of the Turf.
And action!
And the support from the racing community was amazing, supplying us with tech and props.
We had some good horses. Rudra, who won the Summer Cup, he played numeral. Zorba's tail, he played the part of In Full Flight.
Becky Causey.
Becky Causey was there playing Elevation.
Briar King is Gatecrasher.
Yeah, Briar King, Gatecrasher, he wasn't easy.
And then, of course, we had an amazing crew, most of whom ended up playing a role at some point. Our camera assistant, Clive, steps into a few different roles. Our art director, Callum, he's Anne Upton's husband. I play the part of Glenda Garrett's nanny. But my favorite, I think, has to be Aidan as Buller Benton in the Bold Tropic episode. A really, really funny story, and definitely one of my favorite episodes.
Tell us a little bit about the website, because you guys have gone live now. I know that some people aren't perhaps all that familiar with streaming things.
Well, Kathy and I had some conversations about what to do with the series. Lots of years went into making it. There were 3 trips around the country doing interviews with all the players, and we had to stop, start according to budget and raising more money. And there was the research and the writing and going to the National Archives and finding the mirror reels, going through all these thousands of negatives of photographs from the Ken Wilkins library. I mean, literally thousands of photos, a huge amount of work. Anyway, we got the cuts done, we got the dramatizations done, we got the series done, and it's been people have waited for it for a long time. And it is now available at www.legendsoftheturf.com.
So you go to the website, you register your details.
Right, and it's very similar to any shopping website. You add the items that you want to your cart and then proceed to the checkout. Payment is through PayFast, which is a secure service. And once it's done, you don't have to wait for anything. You go straight to the episodes page, click Watch Now. You can access your profile on your laptop, phone, or your smart TV.
Thanks so much for spending some time with us. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of interest. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Bye, Robin. Thank you so much. And everyone, let us know what you think. Join us on Facebook and Instagram. Comment, share, spread the word.
Thanks, Robin, for everything that you've done for us over all of the years. Thanks for all your support. Thank you to the Sporting Post, legendsoftheturf.com. We put a lot of years and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this. It's finally there for you to watch. Enjoy it. And of course, you're in lockdown. Be safe. Wash your hands.